Hello and happy Friday, beautiful people. It is your girl Crystal of God's Good Grief Ministry, where we are normalizing the discussion around grief. I know this is not our normal scheduled meeting, but we're doing something a little different today on this beautiful Friday in Boston. We are meeting with organizations that would come to share the resources and services that they provide for individuals and families in our community who are suffering with grief and dealing with trauma. So I pray that if you weren't able to join us today, that you will be blessed when this is posted up on YouTube, and please take advantage of these resources in our community. Grief is a hard thing to have to experience and go through, but just a reminder that you are not alone in your grief. You know, God walks with us, but we also have these wonderful people here in the community walking with you from the beginning to however far you go in your grief. But you are not doing this by yourself, and you do not have to do this
That's
by
by itself.
yourself. Okay. So without further ado, because it is not about me today, and I don't have no presentation for you, but I am happy to welcome Brother Robert Gatabazi, as well as Brother Marcus Lewis, who will be our two representatives, and they are going to introduce themselves and share with us what they do in their work, and then we'll go into just asking some questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat if you're not able to speak, but if you are, please feel free to unmute yourself and engage with us. So, welcome, Marcus, and welcome, Brother Robert. I don't know which one of you would like to go first, but please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to us.
I'd say to my brother Robert. Go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. Gotta let the elders decide. But yes, peace and love, everyone. Appreciate the intro, Crystal, and thank you so much for having us. This is a great honor for me. It is an honor to serve my community and be a part of this. So yeah, very honored to be here with everyone. So yeah, a little bit about myself. My name is Rob. I'm a mental health clinician, so I'm a licensed mental health counselor at the Community Violence Response Team at Boston Medical Center. So a little bit about our program is from the name, we see patients who come into the hospital, they're life-threatening injuries, right? So it could be gunshot wounds, stab wounds, different assaults from the community, domestic violence, just any kind of a life-threatening injury that comes into the hospital due to community violence. And while patients get the medical care and just get the physical support, we provide the emotional care and the support. So like psychological first aid, crisis counseling, bedside support, advocacy, whatever they might need to really make this really difficult moment in their life just a little bit easier. The goal is like if we can, whatever support and care we can provide for them, we're honored to be able to do that. And specifically in the context of grief, unfortunately, some of the patients that we see, due to their injuries, they do pass away at the hospital. And so we work a lot with homicide survivors, really just kind of guiding them and providing that again, crisis counseling and ongoing, like grief support and counseling if they're interested in that. Um, and so it really looks different and it depends on like case to case, how like our patients that kind of come in and how we support them. So we see patients again once they're at the hospital. We support the family at the bedside. Also support with barrier planning. We work with a very close partner of ours, which I know some folks in here might already be aware of, the Peace Institute. So the Peace Institute is a great resource because they do the burial planning. So once we meet somebody at the hospital and they pass, we connect with their family, we know who to reach out to. We move that case over, we refer it to the Peace Institute, and they support the family during the burial planning process. Because you can't imagine having to worry about the finances when you just like lost your loved one. It's honestly criminal to be able to have to worry about that as well. And so we work very closely with them and we support the family like during that process as they grieve, offering that support. And if they want to, again, a good thing about our program is we're grant funded, something important to mention. So that means we don't charge, we don't bill for any insurance, we don't bill for anything. So our patients can work with us for as little or as much as they want to. We can do both like informal like check-ins for folks who are like, oh, therapy, maybe I'm not ready for that, right? We can just call like, all right, is it cool if I just like check in like for 30 minutes once a week? Once a month, whatever it looks like for you. And for some folks, they're ready and they're like, actually, I need therapy right now. And they're able to engage and show up and be cared for in that way, whatever that looks like for them. So it's a great honor, again, to be able to care for my community and my people in this capacity, because we understand our communities are most impacted by this. And so, yeah, I don't want to speak too much. If there's any questions that come up, I'd love to answer those. But just a brief intro about who I am and like the work that I do. Yes, thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rob. Brother Marcus, it's on you.
Yes, I'm Brother Marcus. For those who don't know, I work with the CHURN, the Healing Response Network. Healing Response Network, formerly known as the Neighborhood Trauma Team. And I also work with VIP, which is Violence Intervention and Prevention, also Village in Progress. I'm going to get into more of how those names really deal with trauma and really connecting our communities and families along with trauma. Right now, my current position is the community support manager at the Madison Park development, where I work with families, communities, um, partner organizations, main streets, all working around violence in our community, uplifting our community, helping them get better resources, helping them get public health, um, wellness, also food insecurities, and we're helping with our young people, making sure job, education, stability, and finding things that their future caters to. It's a mission as the whole Madison Park development, really connecting all our residents with the whole of Roxbury and resources that come in. And unfortunately, we know trauma is rooted in so many different ways in our community. I deal directly with gun violence, helping families in the midst of the incident, responding on scene, and then going back over to with the hospitals and the Peace Institute through the burials, and months after, 2 weeks after, 6 months after, to a year after, whenever you decide that you're ready to receive those resources. And we're going to take a look in also what those resources are offered by the Public Health Commission, offered by the City of Boston, and where those partnerships fall into our community and where they lie.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for those wonderful introductions. Welcome, Wendy, and welcome, Jamie. Good to have you on with us. I just want to touch on something Rob said because my brother actually was at BMC when he was murdered, and I wasn't even aware of the services there. I definitely would have taken advantage of that, and I was looking for some kind of grief support, to work through this. This is not something that I experienced in my immediate family. So it was just like, where do I go from here? What do I do? And we've been coming to BMC, Boston City Hospital, since all of us was born there, me and my siblings. And so, it is a place where we're familiar with. And so just to know that that is a service that was provided there and that you guys work with the Peace Institute, who I love. They've been helpful in his services as well. Just seeing all of this connection with the resources in our community. Like they said last night, I attended a workshop, and one of the women was saying, when people tell you that there's no help, there's nothing in our community, tonight you've seen that there's plenty of help. And so you make sure you let them know that there is help in our community. There are resources in our community, and it's not just with the grief and trauma, but like Brother Marcus just shared with us, we're trying to help with education and job employment and things like that, and even down to our young people, because we have to prepare them. We're not going to forever be able to carry the mantle, but, we pass it on to them, we prepare them, and so that they can continue to go forward and, just help our community, because we want to grow and we want to be able to heal, but we have to start somewhere, and we got to start with ourselves. So thank you so much for that. If you guys could share I think Rob, you were saying that, or is it Marcus? One of you was saying that you deal directly with gun violence. So his brother Marcus. Rob, is that the same for your position as well? Or is it just whomever may have experienced maybe like suicide or substance abuse? Do you work with families who have experienced a loved one that may have overdosed or a loved one who have taken their lives?
Yes. So we work with a wide range of patients. And again, most of folks who come to the hospital after a community violence event. So it could be a gunshot wound, it could be a stab wound, it could be a different assault or even domestic violence situation. And so we support anyone in between that. And we also take referrals, which is, I think, is like something good about our program that a lot of people don't know about, right? So if someone from the community, like if they never made it to the hospital, but they still need the support and the care and the grief counseling, just like PTSD treatment, whatever support they might need related to their trauma, we support them. We take referrals and we're also like, again, grant funded. So it's like super open, like we're able to care for folks for as little or as much as they need us to, which is a great privilege.
Yes. And I love that, Brother Marcus had mentioned too, that, whether it's weeks, months, a year, however long, you know what I mean, that the families may need you, you're there. Because I always say that the aftercare is so important. People are there when the incident happens, they are there at the funeral service. But what about that aftercare when the families really, really need you? But there's nobody around. The phones stop ringing, the visitations stop. Nobody's following up. Nobody's coming by to sit with you and, to make sure you're okay. So I love that this is a continuation. It's not like, oh, well, we did our part. So, fend for yourself. It's like, no, we're here with you for as long as you need us. And I feel like that's going to transition with them being able to be there for someone as long as you need them. And again, it comes full circle with the community helping each other in the healing process. So thank you so much for clarifying that and for churn because I was trying to figure out last night this organization that kept speaking of, and I'm like, I'm not getting it. But thank you so much for that, brother.
Yes. So Churn, formerly known as the Neighborhood Trauma Team. Churn, where now we are Community Healing Response Network, where before we realized you can't stop the trauma, but we create the healing after the trauma. Um, Trauma comes in many forms. There's no age limit to trauma. You could be traumatized from lack of food, um, not sure where you're going to sleep at night. You could be traumatized because vicariously you saw a loss of a life. Um, as a mom who lives in a house and shots are fired and it goes through that window, that is very traumatizing because your protection as a mother is mama bear, and now your whole environment has instantly changed. And the trauma is not the actual incident of what took place, but what could have. The mind continue leads into what ifs and the what ofs. I come home at this time, I do this at this time, and this normally happens. Now your schedule has been turned off, your average routine has been changed. Those are the first early signs of trauma that you may find in certain peoples. And then the ones who actually, once again, trauma is something that you did not expect. This is something that doesn't happen and it changes instantly. Simple as bumping your toe. If this is the first time you ever bumped your toe and it was very horrific, it could be very traumatizing to you. Now, every time you see a corner of an edge of a thing, you're flinching a little more. Those are different signs of trauma. But when it comes to gun violence and homicides, is in a class of his own. I deal with homicide victim, and I always say that it's a special group nobody wants to be a part of. But when you do enter, you realize the amount of resources in that village that is able to really hold you and support you because it's something that you don't get to express. When you go through trauma and everyone is saying, what happened? What happened? What happened? Your mind still hasn't even figured out what happened. Your body hasn't adjusted that because that's what trauma is. It's not something you could explain right away. You just know something really bad happened
Mm,
and you're trying to live through it in the moment in time, knowing everything has changed and you're trying to make sense of it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and you're trying to make sense of it all at once. Um, Certain parts of the brain shut down. The memories don't flow back the same. What other people saw and what you saw is going to come off as totally two different things. What you experience and what other people expect you to experience may be different. You may not, you be good every day around people, and then when that time hit that the incident happened, if it was 2 o'clock at night, you find yourself, that's the time you wake up now. That's the time you feel a little more anxious. Those are hidden signs of trauma that we connect with organizations. We connect with behavioral health. We connect with Peace Institute, My Brother's Keeper, Family Nurturing Center, Bowden Street Health Center. These are all organizations that is trauma informed. More businesses are becoming more trauma informed because we realize world has changed.
Yeah.
Traumatic incidents of violence, vicarious trauma, as we see violence taking place around law enforcement, other places with our young people. If I never even ran into law enforcement, now if I see law enforcement, I get a little extra tense. Vicarious trauma. You didn't experience it, but you're seeing so much of it coming through our news media. And now for our younger generation who is getting all of this, they have to figure out how do we put this into a healthy way to be now feel I could do something about this. I could make change, political change, environmental changes, and now the trauma changes because now you're empowered. You become a survivor. You're empowered to do something about this. Where you are now making a voice, giving people opportunity to talk about this, that's surviving. When people decide to get involved in politics and get involved in changing their community, changing laws, changing parks, that's being run by gangs and violence, activating those areas now, taking away graffiti, connecting to their city councilors and their neighborhood organizations being a part of that table to make those decisions. I always say when changes come on in our community, if we're not at the table, that is gentrification. But if we're at the table, that's evolution, that's growth, right? So we want to be part of the table. We want to know what's going on in our community. We want to be able to say we want to change what we see negative and positive. That's what fights trauma. That's what heals trauma, giving that person back the strength, giving them the support, giving them back the empowerment to make changes of something that affected their life, their whole being. Now they have a chance to say, you know what, this should not happen to someone else. This shouldn't be normal. It shouldn't be normalized. And unfortunately, we got normalized. I've been normalized. So many of us been because we see it vicariously. This morning, my son told me, imagine the world's like GTA. And I said, you know, it is. It's just not in a small frame. It's just spread out more.
Yes.
If they put as amount as good they have in this world in GTA, you realize it's not as much crime. But if it's all focused in one area and this is all you see every corner that you've been, you'll say this world is terrible. And that's such a young person already seeing it. So imagine, once again, we have to step in and make that change, teach people it's okay to talk about what's hurting you to the right people. It's okay. Stop the discrimination around mental health, and it's okay to go speak. And same way we turn to our faith and we have to wait now to find how we say confirmation, we should speak to someone live so we could get that positive confirmation of where the resources are to go in our community, just as we have boxes of all the different menus of which best restaurants to go. We need to have a resource when things happen on our block. Who do we call? How do we reach the violence prevention hotline? How do I reach the Hope helpline for people who are dealing with depression and anxiety and those things. Our neighbors, how do we help when we know there's food pantries? Because those are the things that lead to bad decisions when your back is against the wall that cause trauma into our community. When you don't got food, you don't got a house, you're gonna make bad decisions, and that's gonna affect someone else. And it's gonna leave trauma on both sides, the victim and the persecutor. So yeah.
I love that. I thank you for even how you explain trauma. You know, it's so simple. And I think a lot of us who are not aware of these terms, and I'm grateful that we are living in a time where we don't just have this work, but also there is like a name put to what we've been experiencing. So thank you for that, because I feel like you can even tell a young person that and they'd be like, oh, okay, got it. And I can pinpoint how, you know what I mean? I've been traumatized. Another thing you just said was, a woman was sharing yesterday about, um, when your child is into something and people are like, oh yeah, they did. It's like, no, not my child, right? But as you just said, because they also discussed that last night that, oh, well, they could be this way, with you in a home, but you never know what's going on outside of the home, right? So maybe what's going on at home, like you said about, being hungry and not really having any place permanent to live. So now you're out here making these decisions, right, that are impacting other people. And you always say, and that's why they always say, don't ever say never, because I would never. Well, yeah, I may be like this today, but when my back is against the wall, how am I going to respond to this situation? Am I
Yes.
going to be willing to take someone's life? Am I going to be willing to rob someone or steal from a store to just get my basic human needs? And I love, that you're both here and we have these resources. No, like it doesn't even have to come like to that. We've got the food pantry, we got the therapy, we've got the social workers, we've got everything that you need. I always say to Jackie, we could put it in their lap, but we can't make them want it. Like they've got to literally be like, all right, I'm picking up and I'm going to eat of this. I'm gonna dig into these resources for myself so that I can, be healed and, be a better, member of my community. I wanted to ask you both, how did you get into this work? Was it something that you desired from childhood or was it from personal experience? I mean, I know this ministry that I have started from personal experience because I didn't know anything about grief. It was friends who I went to their funeral in high school and stuff, and it was like, okay, you went there, you cried, you may have like made a jacket or something with their name on that, and you moved on. But like now, I have this brother that was murdered, and I don't know how to handle this. You know what I mean? And now my safety net and everything that I knew, where I grew up at, that was my safe place, is not that place anymore, and so what do I do? And so it was like me searching for help. Um, God was like, yeah, start this ministry. And I'm like, no, I can't help other people. I need help. It was like, see, she's gonna see in the years to come that this is twofold, that she is helping people, but it's also helping her. And so I wanted to know, was this stemming from personal experience that you're in this work or, anything childhood? Go ahead, Rob. He's so polite with his hand up.
Trying my best. But no, thank you again for sharing. And I think for me as well, I think it's a mix of both, right? Like that personal experience and also just like this feeling of calling, just like similar to you. To share a little bit about myself. So I'm an immigrant from like Nairobi. So my family's like Congolese and I'm Kenyan. So I moved here like around 2017. And that experience, just like being an immigrant, living in Nairobi under like really difficult conditions, and then moving to the US. And again, always like growing up around violence, growing up around like losing friends as a child, like my friends I went to high school with or stuff like that, and just like seeing that pain. And honestly, I never thought about like when I was thinking about grad schools, I didn't even think I wanted to be a therapist. I was like probably gonna go for like educational leadership or something like that. But around when COVID happened, I think it really just like sat to me about how much pain there is in our communities, and really how much pain there was in my own heart, right? And really realizing that what I'm experiencing, what my family's experiencing, what my community is experiencing is a lot of pain, right? And that we need a lot of healing. There's a lot of healing
Yeah.
to be done on an individual and systemic basis, right? Like I really appreciate the talk earlier about like what is the root of community violence in our communities. It's because of communities are disenfranchised, right? Like people don't have opportunities, don't have third spaces, employment, right? We can go into that, but again, point just kind of really being able to see that and understand that how do we bring that healing to our people in our communities? Um, and even unfortunately, last at the beginning of last year, I actually lost my cousin to gun violence. And so really being in this work and really seeing that it really put a lot of clarity in why it's important that we do this work and why we engage and like show up for our communities. Because our people are hurting, our communities are hurting, and there's a big need to really like be able to care and like support our people as we do that healing. Now, only on an individual level, but also systemic level. Like, how do we bring that change, right? To make sure our communities and our people have what they need to not only survive but thrive and live meaningful lives as well. Oh, thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for that. The Marcus, on you.
Rob, thank you, my brother, for sharing. What got me into this work? Definitely a calling. I didn't choose this at all. I started off thinking dentistry was going to be my thing, and 15 years later, I'm doing this still. It really pushed me when I lost one of my older cousins to gun violence on Bowden Street, where I um, for this position we currently work for 15 years. Um, that murder went unsolved, and then I lost another cousin off on Only Street, right off of Bowden, where I currently work now. That also went on um, unsolved, and I was thinking that I was cool. One, I
Mhm.
DJ'd. I grew up in the Caribbean community in Carnival and making costumes and having a voice and having that attraction where people listen. Did underground radio for a while, had a voice, and I wanted to put it now to a real purpose, giving back to the community, bringing some awareness that this is not right. We could have fun. We could be enjoying our community without hurting and destroying ourselves. And that purpose grew even more. God worked in me. Like, when you find God, I found him in as Marcus. When he gave me back his brother Marcus. And it gave me a whole different calling, a meaning that serves way bigger than me. The check is a plus, but the helping of families, is different to stand up next to a person who you don't speak their language. They just lost their son to gun violence. They're crying on your shoulder, maybe in Cape Verde, and no matter what language it is, you could feel the pain, the hurt, the trauma, and you're there, able to pray with that person, walk them through this most intimate time of their life. Um, it takes a special call, and I have to give it to God first. I have to prep and give the glory to Him that He could walk me through that, and I'm able to come back unscarred.
Mm.
Thanks now that we're putting information into the city saying, hey, the people who's doing this work also vicariously need help. And now we have what is called the community building trainings, where we're able to learn how do we heal? What do we do after helping families so we could continue doing this work? So I'm actually now starting to get into that level of where I want to make sure self-care is and behavioral health is a full combination in our community. Take behavioral health and put it at the forefront. Stop waiting till we feel there's something wrong to say, talk to somebody. It should be normal, like a physical checkup. Just when the mother went in for a physical checkup, we check our brain, we check our teeth, we check our heart. It comes normal. So now when you grow up, it's like, what do you do? Oh, it's my 6 months checkup. It's not, oh, something is going wrong. I need to talk to somebody. It should become normalized. We have to bring it in and become normalized. And that's the biggest part of dealing with trauma. So we could denormalize trauma and make it normal to deal with it, address it, open up and say, hey, this is wrong. I felt a way about this. This caused me to feel a way and not be shunned and say, why do you feel that way? That should be normal. No, no. Our brains are made up different. Each person is different. Respect what that is and how can we help you? Um, yeah.
Wow. So you just answered the question that I was going to ask about how in this work do you process self-care? How do you practice self-care? Um, Not just when you're on the job and the programs that they may have for those with the workers, but how do you do that in your personal life? I know some people are like, hey, I love going to the gym. That helps to Release. I love biking, biking, roller skating, jump rope, like that's my thing. And that was really, really helpful to me in my grief. And journaling. I had got into this journaling because I felt like I cried so much. I didn't have words like to say. Every time I felt like I wanted to say, it was like this thing in my throat. So it was like, well, write it, write it down. And so as I started writing it down and I'll go back and read it, I don't know. I felt like I was always like, oh my goodness, like all of that was inside of me. That's how, and sometimes I'm with the Peace Institute. They have these writing sessions. I'm sorry, I forget the gentleman's name, but I love the prompts that he uses to kind of help you, get your thoughts and your emotions start, connect them so you could put it on paper, so just wanted to know if they were personal self-care things that you did as you're unpacking, because that's a lot to be there on the scene of, someone losing a loved one and emotions are high, and it could be anything. It could be anger. They may want to get violent themselves, all those things. And like, how were you able to practice coming down from all of that in your personal life? Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, no, that's very important. Yeah, because I think if we're a lot of this ideology of like if we're not filling up our cup, we can't pour from an empty cup, right? Like we have to make sure that our vessel is full first before we care for others. Because if we're not okay, we're no good to nobody. And so I really appreciate this discussion. And for me, it's something I'm very intentional about because I do have that understanding that I gotta put my mask on first. Or if I'm not, I really again won't be able to good for anyone, especially my patients. And so I think it's a good mix of like me also being in my own therapy. So I don't play about my therapy every week. I'm in there, taking care of myself. And a big part of that, I think, as well, too, is also community, right? Like getting like not only like professional, but also like personal help. We heart in community or we heart in relationships, but we also heal in relationships, right? So finding people who are able to pour into us in positive ways, my friends, my partner, who's actually here. So shout out to Jamie. And then really being able to really, again, like tap into that. I'm also very like big on community and just really doing community work because I do understand that the root cause of violence in our communities is again this disenfranchisement, lack of opportunities, lack of those spaces, lack of spaces for you to be able to do something else with their lives without being involved in crime or just violence, right? And so me being in community work, doing like fighting gentrification, right? Like fighting, making sure my people have access to healthcare, right? Education, running campaigns around, like really building working class power, like building community power in our communities, especially our Black communities, is really important. So I think that's another way to that restores me. And honestly, I think the work also is protective in its own way because I get so much from really being able to serve my community in this capacity, being able to care for my people. And so yeah, there's days where I just sit with a personal experience with a patient that I'm like, wow, it's such an honor to be able to hold space for this person, to travel with them on their journey, to care for them in like a very difficult time, right? And to see that growth that I get to see over time, like through therapy and like seeing them meet their goals, seeing them go back to work, engage in their community, feel safe again in the world, is it's there's no words to describe it. It's honestly um, there's no words. It's just really beautiful and protective and keeps me in the work.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for that. I love that. Did you want to touch on it, Brother Marcus, or you feel like I've already gave you guys
Oh no,
enough?
for me, it's my self-care, faith first, and definitely seeing my behavioral specialist. We got to get it out live. Got to get it out live. It's okay to go dump everything out of your stomach, get it out, and just leave. It's like I don't know you, but I'm gonna let it all out. I give it all to you, and hopefully you give me back some sound advice and resources. And I take what works and I keep it moving, but it's off of my chest. It's not sticking, replaying in my mind. And like my brother Rob said, find a community. What is community? It could be skateboarders. I'm a DJ community. So my community is music heads. I go exchange music, sit down a couple hours behind my turntables, and it could go from any kind of genre, from gospel to R&B to reggae, soca, dancehall. But I go in that world and I enjoy my time, and then go and spend time with the Lord, let it and trust the faith, and there's a reason and a purpose, a bigger calling than myself. But I have to have those three. Give me those three, and everything we can fight together. Your community is going to give you that wraparound service and support. That one-on-one person that you can let out who is um, non-biased. You know, someone who's not going to put their own thoughts in, who is not educated in the work, and understanding emotions, feelings, hearts. So now you go talk to that educated person who's trained for that, let it out, receive and release, and then go have some fun. Meet your peoples. Have some fun. Smile,
Yeah,
smile, smile.
you have
Eat
to
well, eat well.
drink your water.
Drink your water. Yes.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for that. We just actually did a session on Sunday about staying hydrated. So yeah, the grief is draining, so you guys stay hydrated. I'm gonna pause. If anyone has any questions for Rob and Marcus, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. If you are in a space where you're not able to, feel free to drop it in the chats, and we can read it out for you. And Brother Marcus dropped some links in the chat as well. So please make sure you check those out as well as his contact information.
Yes, if
Rob,
anyone
you
is
did.
looking to find where they can find their closest VIP or churn. We have them in Academy Homes. We have Codman Square, East Boston, Mattapan, Bowdoin, and Geneva, Grove Hall, Roxbury, Upham's Corner, Jamaica Plain. And you just go to the city website and look under violence prevention. You could also find a map, how to get involved, resources that are free, trauma informed, and able to really help communities, homes, and personal lives. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. I love that there's so much, um, so many locations as well. So wherever you live, there is one near you. And please, please take advantage of these resources. Again, anyone have any questions that they would like to ask, they're burning to ask. Um, we're at 12:44, so we've got a few more minutes. If not, I'm going to ask probably about two more questions or so. But I don't want to jump in front of anyone in case they have any questions. I wanted to ask what impact did you set out to have in this work, and do you feel like you've not reached it, but even made a dent in it, in that impact that you looked out to have, whatever the impact that, you were thinking, like, wow, I'm gonna be a part of this organization and this is the impact that I want to have. Do you feel like you've maybe even scratched the surface in the work that you're doing? You could take your time to think about it.
I'll take that one first. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Well,
Hands up first. I'll take that.
You should go ahead first, brother, please.
You know what? It's so it's not in the work we do requires a lot of data and numbers, right? I'm all great for data and numbers, but I like to see change in communities. I remember when I started off on Bowdoin, um, Norton Street, on Draper Street, Stonehurst Street. They was not getting along. I did block parties, community meetings, and now I walk through that area now and see neighbors, residents talking to each other. They know each other. Numbers has exchanged. Community gardens are activated. Graffiti is being removed. Main streets are getting involved. Community service officers are connecting with residents, not on a 911 call. Um, that's where I have to look back and say, but if I look at the numbers and the stats and say violence and the number of guns we see every day in my reports and the number of incidents I have to respond to, there's so much more work that needs to be done. And none of us could do it all by ourselves to take collaboration, community, government, state, personal. Start at home. What's going on in your house? Know what's going on. Don't just know your neighbors as that's the Jamaican, the Cape Verdean, the Bayesian, but that's Miss Susan, that's Mr. Marcus. Those are her grandkids. Those are her children. Those are her nephews. Because then you care. Now you feel more implemented to say, I want to make a change. I feel invested, because you know a little bit more. Not to be nosy, but enough to have a caring heart. We
That's
got to have that.
And thank you for answering that way because I wasn't looking for numbers, just something personal. So thank you for that.
I appreciate your response, brother. And I think very similar to me. It's really hard to kind of, well, I guess it's easy a little bit for me because we do have like treatment goals where it's like, all right, there's some specific things we're measuring that at the end, maybe after 6 months, after a year, we can kind of reflect back and see how we're doing. So I think individually, it's really much easier to do that. I think for my patients in general, I think my biggest goal is that they feel that they have someone that they don't have to go through this alone and that they can figure it out with support, right? And so if I could live an interaction with a family member, with a partner, just anyone in their family who after some experiencing one of the worst traumatic moments of their life, being like, all right, I can do this. I'm not alone. There's supports and there's people who are willing to work through this with me. I think that's honestly my biggest goal with the family or anyone. Um, and also really again, for me, it's systemic as well. Like we have to get at the root of the problem and not just like treat individual issues. And so again, really being able to build up that power in my community where folks feel like, all right, we can actually get organized, we can build power, we can actually fight for what we deserve and need in our communities, and really just letting people in my community, Black working class people know that we have the capacity. We've experienced worse and fought back and won, and we can do that again. I think that's an important goal for me, just keeping people in attitude and that capacity to know that we have agency in our lives if we do decide to act.
Yes, I love that. And Brother Marcus was giving it the snaps like we usually do in poetry. So Um, so just my last question, what advice or words of encouragement would you give to someone who is looking to get into this work? I think about that sometimes, when students are in like high school and then they're encouraged to like do some kind of outreach thing so it looks good on their application for college and stuff. But beyond that, what would you give someone who was like, listen, like I really want to be involved in this kind of work. Any words of encouragement, wisdom, experiences that you may have that they can keep in their forefront, to help them to focus on what the real, I don't want to say goal is, but the real purpose of all of this is. Chew on it. Oh, Rob's ready.
Or Brother Mercer, do you want to start? You can start if you feel ready.
I was borrowing one out of your playbook, man. You go ahead. Thank you, brother.
Or, thank you, thank you. Um, Yeah, my advice is do it. It's simple, it's needed. It's necessary, right? This work is very, very important. I meet, especially as a Black man in a mental health, I honestly couldn't name that many brothers. I couldn't even five brothers out of in Boston, maybe actually in the US that I have personal connections through grad school and everything, but they're very limited, right? So really saying that we need Black healers. I couldn't emphasize that enough. We need Black healers. And that could look very different, right? It doesn't mean getting a master's degree, it doesn't mean going to college. It means being there for your community, being willing to care and support people who need it the most. And I think for folks who have lived experiences like ourselves, and I assume a lot of people in this room as well, that experience is invaluable. It's invaluable. It's needed. And there's so much, again, this I really appreciate this idea that Brother Marcus was kind of getting at of this. It's called post-traumatic growth, right? In that after experiencing really traumatic events with the right support and guidance and care, we can get to a point in which we are forced to bear the unbearable, right? And when we are forced to bear the unbearable, we discover parts of ourselves that we didn't even know were existed or capable. Strong, we become more beautiful, we become stronger, we become more caring, more loving, right? Like there's parts of ourselves that we're not able to tap in, unfortunately. And so really being able to tap into that and being in that to our communities is something that we can't we can't afford. It's invaluable, right? And like we need that desperately. We need that. We need mentors. We need supports. We need healers. We need every support we can get. And I'm a big believer in the connectedness of our humanness, right? And that we heart in relationships and we also heal in relationships. And so if we need to get at the root of the problem, it needs to be a community effort and not individual.
Amen. Well said. Thank you.
Yes, my brother. I second that. The first mission of feeling like you want to do something is that thought that I want to do something. And I say it starts at home. It starts with who's ever in that household. Start start having conversations about what's going on in our community, things that going on your block. That's around your 4 blocks right there. Know who do your block even have a community organization? And if it doesn't, that's a great opportunity to say, hey, maybe there's a way I could start keeping month meetings. Know your community centers. Learn where is your community center, where who is your city counselor, right? It starts with just wanting to be a part. The knowledge is here. AI, ask what is it, Chat GPA, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Listen, it's in front of you. But the first start is wanting it in the heart and in the mind. And from that point, you could activate it. You could just come outside and start cleaning up. You could start saying, "Hey, I got a neighborhood garden on Sundays. All my seniors, we're gonna start doing cleanup with the young people first in the morning, and in the evenings we're gonna do the planting." It is take the initiative. And once people see the initiative, everybody wants to be a part. Nobody wants to start it first. But if it's calling you in your heart and you feeling the need to, go ahead. And then for the ones who are saying, man, I'm caught in this cycle of depression and in feeling the trauma, feeling the anxiety, the start is addressing that, knowing that something is off and saying, okay, I need to find some more information about this. I need to seek some help and get some professional resources coming in to change this feeling. Knowing that something doesn't feel right. I'm not being my normal self. My normal routines are not the same. That's the first signs of trauma. Reach out to someone that you trust confidentially and able to give you sound decisions. It's just going to widen. When you're in trauma, you're in a tunnel vision. You need someone else who's able to see the spectrum, the full wideness of the picture, because you're only seeing that what is attacking you, what is honestly holding you down. And now you need to get out of that. And you need clear eyes, you need other vision because you're in the moment. So you need assistance, you need that village mentality to come around and help you through those processes. So there's two ways to start. The one who's a survivor and say, I need to do something, and the one who feels like, man, this happened to me. What do I need to do to heal
Mm.
myself? Hurt people. So we can't decide we got hurt and now want to go out and help people. We got to start the healing first, right? So when you find what category you're in, are you the survivor who's been hurt and now you want to make a change, or are you hurt and trying to figure out, man, why did this happen?
Mm. Yeah.
Okay, but there's a beginning for both, and it starts with addressing and understanding and putting a name to those two feelings. I want to help or I need help.
Mm.
Pride cannot come in between those two things. Pride would either stop you from saying, hey, this is my idea, or pride is going to stop you from saying, I need this.
Mm.
Okay. Separate the pride and tell yourself, what is really at the surface.
Yes.
I'm willing to start making some changes, or I need some help to start making changes.
Mm, love that. Love that. So I'm hearing, humility. I'm hearing, a thought is just an idea until it's put into action. I'm hearing compassion that you guys have shared. I'm hearing start with the world around you. That's what I had to do. It's like, oh, I gotta save the world. I need to tell everybody. But it's like that world around you, start with that and it will just go. And also, like Rob said, representation. You don't see a lot of us, right? I can attest to that sometime in my grief group meeting. It's not a lot of us, especially men, because I ain't crazy. I don't need help. And it's not about being crazy. I had a friend, and she always said, yes, we go to therapy in our marriage, not because there's a problem, like you said before, Brother Marcus, that it just becomes a part of our checkup. Right. So we're doing physical check, but we're also doing a checkup in our marriage, if there's anything going on, and it may not be, but it's a part, of everything. And so, have that compassion, focus on changing the world around you. That thought you feel like you need to do, go with it. Be humble about it, but go forth in faith, with it. And representation. We need more representation in our community, and just to know that it's okay to not be okay and to ask for help. That is why we are here. It's okay to ask for help. You don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be embarrassed. I think we too focused on the messages of society that, oh, not even just men don't ask for help, but just as Black people, oh, we don't need help, and all I gotta do is that. But a lot of times when we look at our community, when we are experiencing, like you guys shared, the trauma and all those things, our behaviors tend to go, hey, let me cope with this, that, and the other. That's not healthy for us, right? The alcoholism, the a bunch of women or a bunch of men, or being violent, and so now we're contributing to what we're already trying to heal from. So go get the help. It is, as you see today, it is here. We are having another one of these sessions June 12th, and it got to be God, because Brother Marcus and Rob responded, and I was like, okay, we got two guys. The other people responding are women. So I'm like, whatever you're doing, Lord, And I love that you guys respond, because I was like, hey, when I do the flyer, maybe guys will see guys representing and healing, and that would encourage them to want to check it out and come be healed. So however he chooses to do it is fine with me. But I just want to wrap up. um, One, give another opportunity for anyone on to ask any questions that they have. Please feel free to unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. We'll give a minute for that, and then we will close out. So please feel free if any of you have a question to ask. And the information is in the chat. Brother Marcus is sharing boston.gov, where we've got all this information on public health and the commission and violence prevention. He's also leaving his information there as well. He is a community support manager at Madison Park Development Corporation at 184 Dudley Street in Roxbury, 617-541-4900, extension 6239. Brother Rob, www.bmc.org, as the Community Violence Response Team. His email, is that okay to say it out loud? Okay, is Robert.Gatabazi, Gatabazi, as in zebra, I, at bmc.org. Work number 857-270-1848. You have the information in the palm of your hands. Use it. We can't force you to. That it has to be your choice. But your healing begins with you making that choice. And like I always say, do whatever it is that you need to do to take care of you. You don't have to worry about it, to take care of you. So I thank you all for being here. Oh, hold on. Um, oh, Wendy is giving her condolences to Brother Rob in regards to his lawsuit. Thank you so much, Wendy. She's on our monthly groups with God's Good Grief Ministry as well, and has
Yeah.
experienced loss herself. And we're all in
Blessings.
this together. Like I said, thank you from the bottom of my heart, Brother Rob, Brother Marcus. You have been the blessing that I have prayed for. And like I said, I know how this was going to go, but we leave it in God's hands. And I think you just covered everything. You gave us not just the information, but also your personal experiences, the encouragement, and again, that we're not walking through this alone. We have to remember that, because trying to do it on your own, it's not going to work out well. But knowing that you have that village, as
Yes.
spoke about, is really going to make the difference. And as you heal and you overcome, then you can help be a part of that village again in the healing process of others as well. Before we close out with a quick word of prayer, I just want to see if you two had any last parting words for us.
Yes, I definitely want to share that. It was an incredible honor to be here with you all. Thank you so much, Krista, for the work you're doing, for being a beacon of healing in our community. Thank you, Brother Marcus. Thank you, your attendants, for being here. Yeah, this work is important. It's necessary that we do this. And so thank you for this filled me up. I feel excited to continue doing the work. And so I'm
Amen.
honored to have been a part of this.
Amen. And we want to be part of your self-care.
Yes. Crystal, thank you. Thank you for the work that you are doing as a survivor. It's so important. You're empowering so much others trying to figure out, what can I do to make a difference that may give an opportunity that it doesn't happen to my loved one or another loved one on another loved one. So thank you for the work that you're doing. Um, for my family over at Madison Park. Thank you for the warm welcome. I just started here on Madison Park side about 2 weeks ago, and it's been a great welcome. We have No Trauma, No Drama coming up on Tuesday, April 21st. And please check us out at the DeWitt, where we do teen nights on Friday afternoon, 5 to 7, keeping a safe place for the community, for our kids to come meet each other, socialize in a positive way. Right. And thank you guys all once again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a great outro. Wendy said, bless you both in your work and your ministries. And you have my prayers as well. It is not easy, but again, we don't, do it alone. And we were called to this, and so we answered the call, and we continue to go forward. So with that, all hearts and minds are clear. We'll say a word of prayer, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of this beautiful, rare day. Let us pray. Father God in heaven, thank you so much for this time here with Brother Marcus and with Rob and with Wendy and Ronaldo and Jamie and all others who have been on, Lord, with us. Thank you for just their experience and their testimonies and just the victory that you have given us through this trying time of grief and trauma. And as we continue to heal, thank you that you are the ultimate healer, Lord. Thank you for using us to reach back to our communities and help lift them up, Lord God, as much as we can in the work that you have called us to do. We are truly humbled and we're truly honored. And just thank you for being here with us. Continue to go with us throughout our day. And just continue to bless and to keep us. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Peace and love.
Peace and love. God
Blessings,
bless.
everyone.